Hey guys, welcome to 3.3 Factoring Quadratics Notes. So we already did this first part and the third part at the end, and you should have done the front side of the assignment or the first 3 slides if you decided to do it on Google Slides. What we're going to do today is talk about what happens if it's a trinomial, which means there's 1, 2, 3 pieces to it that has a number in front. So this is a little bit different than up here where you had, sorry, I should point to this one. You did not have a number in front. And over here, we didn't end up having a number in front after we took out our greatest common factor. Okay, so if there is a number in front, it adds a couple of steps. That's why I decided to wait on this section. So I'm going to multiply this one over here really quick just so we remember how multiplying works, because really what we're trying to do when we're factoring is unmultiply. So when we factor this, we want to unmultiply and set it up as a multiplication problem in parentheses. So when we are multiplying, remember that this first term, 2x, is going to multiply by the 5x and by the 1, which is going to make 10x squared plus 2x. And then we're going to do the same thing with the 3. 3 times 5x is 15x, and 3 times 1 is 3. And then we can add together these two terms in the middle because they're both x's. I can't add together x and x squared, but if they're both x's, that's fine. And I'm just going to write this down here because we are not going to end up doing a pattern on this one. It's not as easy to see on this one as it is on the other two. So that leaves us with 10x squared plus 17x plus 3. So this number in the middle ends up being a combination of these two multiplied and these two multiplied, and those two answers added together. So for our steps, what we're going to do is, instead of finding two numbers that multiply to the last one, we're going to find two numbers that multiply to the first one times the last one and add to the middle still, because they're still being added together in the middle. But now that we have this extra number in front, that means that the parentheses have numbers in front to start with. So what's going to happen is, instead of just being x and x, these two need to multiply together to make whatever goes first. And these two need to multiply together to go make whatever is last. So these two multiplied together end up going in the middle and then added together. Okay, and then what you're going to do is split it up in the middle. And this part isn't going to make much sense until you actually see an example. So I'm going to come over here and start this one. There is a third step, but I'm not going to write it until we've at least seen part of one. So 2 times 6 is 12. So that's the first one times the last one. And we need two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 7. So 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, those all multiply to 12. And remember, we go in order 1, 2, 3. And we would go to 4 next, but it's already on the table. 3 and 4 are the two that add to 7. So what we do is, in the middle, we put 3x and 4x. This still adds to 7x. I'm just splitting it up to something that would add to that and also multiplies to the 12. Then what we're going to do is kind of draw a little line down the middle, and we're going to take out a greatest common factor on both sides. Over here, 2 and 3 don't have any numbers that go into each other, but they both have an x that I can take out. And then over here, 4 and 6 2 goes into both of those. But they don't have an x. They don't both have an x because the 6 doesn't. So it's just going to be 2 by itself. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then, if we look across this whole problem, we have a greatest common factor of 2x plus 3. So now that's going to go in front. And if I put that out front, these two sort of go away, and I have x and 2 left. So I'm going to put x plus 2 in the other parentheses. Just like that. Okay, so after we split it up, what we're going to do is take out our greatest common factor. Okay, so I'm going to call that group in GCF. Okay, so we're grouping these two together and these two together. That's why we drew the line down the middle. Okay, I'm going to do one more now right away so that you can kind of see how it works. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24, which means I'm going to need one positive and one negative. I always guess the number on the left. So 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. And I'm looking for the ones that add to 2. So not here. This one adds to 5, 2. So it's my last one. And in the middle, instead of writing 2x, I'm going to write negative 4x and 6x. So you're just using those two numbers to split it up in the middle. And as long as you find two numbers that multiply to this and add to the middle, it'll nicely work the rest of the way. It won't work the rest of the way if you don't follow those two rules correctly. So over here, I'm going to take out an x because nothing goes into 3 and 4, but they do both have an x. And I didn't explain this super well in the first one. This is the same thing as x times x. So that means one of these x's is going out front, which is why the 3 still has an x left. But this 4 only had one x, and it's out here now, so it's just negative 4. And then over here, I can divide these both by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. And now I have my 3x minus 4 in both parentheses. That parentheses should always match. If it doesn't, you've done something wrong. Okay, and then I'm going to do 2 more down here at the bottom and not explain them through as much. I just think it's going to be helpful for you guys to see a couple more. So 5 times 4, first times last, is 20. And then that's 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Now, looking over, I want to add to negative 12, which means I want everything to be negative. Otherwise, it wouldn't multiply to positive 20 still. And the two that add to negative 12 are negative 2 and negative 10. And I always write them in the order that's over there already, but it doesn't matter if you put the negative 10 first. So this is just splitting up in the middle. The first and the last still stay the same. Then we're going to split it up in the middle. I can't take anything out between 5 and 2, so I'm just going to take out the x, leaving the 5 with one x and the 2 without one at all. And then over here, if this first number is negative, you want to take out a negative number because you don't want the first number to be negative. You want it to be positive like this. You can also kind of cheat a little bit and say, I want this to be 5x first. What do I divide this by to get that? Negative 2. And then negative 10 divided by negative 2 is 5. And 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. And look at that, you have the same number or same parentheses left. So you write this parentheses that matches in one parentheses, and the other parentheses is going to be whatever is left on the outside.